Okay, so The Walking Dead, we're in season 4. This is episodes 6 and 7. So Live Bait and Dead Weight. These are actually 2 of your favorite episodes.
They are, yes.
So these are like all about the governor. And so Woodbury has fallen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're right, because it flashes back to right after the end of season 3. It's
Yes.
like, so it's a flashback. Both episodes are flashing back in time from the perspective of the series, back to after the governor massacred his people and then took off with Martinez, and I can't remember the other guy's name. It's like Snoop or something. It's like he has like a very goofy name, but like yeah, and then he massacres his people, and then they drive away, and then they camp for the night, and the governor is just looking at this walker and lets the walker like get really close to him and fall in the fire, and it looks like he's just gonna let it eat him. Right. And then Martinez shoots it, and then the next morning they've taken off and abandoned him there, and so then he's just sort of wandering around, and he goes back to Woodbury and burns it down. And then he's just wandering through the streets and not caring whether he lives and dies.
So I feel like yes, I think these episodes are good. I feel like after reading the books that we read, I have a different perspective on these episodes, though.
Oh, really? In what way?
Well, these don't really give any backstory about the governor. They just give a little more, insight to his character. But they, are derived from the Woodbury books that we read.
That's true.
And, there's some similarities, some connections. But, I think they could have gone more into explaining his backstory more. So, in the Woodbury books... should we talk about that?
Sure.
Okay,
yes.
So it's 2 different characters. It's him and his brother, and he's the more weak one.
Yes.
And his brother's the strong leader type, and it's the kind of the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, and they're just trying to live. And then so this kind of takes place where they find these people living in apartments. And there's 2
in the
sisters.
book it's Tara, Tara, and then
and Tara's a different character
Yes.
in the show. So and in the book, Tara is this big fat lady that just wears a muumuu all the time. It's pretty funny. And then the other sister, do you remember her name?
I can't remember because on the show it's Lily, of course, but that's because they merge the character. That's because Lily is the character in the comics and the books who ends up killing the governor at the end.
But is not the one that's in
is not, because completely she just lives in Woodbury. She's she's a completely unrelated character. And I'm trying to remember the name of the character in the book who's Tara's sister. I want to say
Man, it's been so long since we read it.
Yeah, it's been a little while. That's okay, but
okay, so so his brother kind of has a relationship with this girl and then ends up raping her.
Right.
Or tries
you mean
to, or
Brian. like the real so Philip, who is his, because Brian becomes the governor. He's the older brother.
The weak one.
Yes, exactly. He's the weak one. Philip is his younger brher, who's the strong one.
The strong leader, So Philip is the one who
has a relationship. It's because they originally are just kind of trying to survive, and they're not sure what to do and being stupid, like almost all characters in zombie apocalypses. They're just like Rick in the beginning of the TV, and the comic series, but in the TV series where he's okay, I'm just gonna go into the city
Right.
And like ignore like all these signs along the way that I should turn back because clearly there's no safe zone in the city, which is like what they all think. They're like, oh well, if there's any safe place,
Right.
it'll be in this, like the military will have like the core of the city protected and it'll be fine. That's where the survivors will be. That's where there'll be shelters and whatnot.
Right.
And then they, like in both cases, they ignore all these signs that they should turn back, which I think is funny because like in the books, they start going to Atlanta, and there's like, it's just like just more destroyed the city as they keep going,
like, okay.
and it's like things are worse and worse, and then eventually like they have to get out of their car,
Right.
because there's so much wreckage on the streets and things are so bad,
And they're like, okay, let's keep
yeah,
going.
and just at no point do they reconsider their plan and say,
Yeah.
this really doesn't look promising. I think we should just give up on this plan. It really doesn't look safe.
Yeah.
I don't think this is actually a good idea. At no point do they do that. They just keep going. They just keep plowing ahead. They're just dead set on getting to the city center. But anyway, so then they end up finding these sisters in their apartment, and then they live there for a while, and it's similar to what happens in
these
Live
2 episodes,
Bait.
yeah.
It's interesting the way they did sort of a similar situation where in the book it's this group of Brian, Philip.
They have a friend with them.
They have two.
That's-
they have
yes,
two
they have
friends
two
whose
friends.
names I don't remember. And then Penny, of course.
Right, which is Philip's daughter.
Yes, Philip's
Right.
daughter.
So Brian's niece.
That's correct. Yes. So then they set up with these sisters, and they're living in this apartment building.
Not
and
the
it's,
same apartment, another
right
apartment, but just
Yeah.
the same building. Yeah.
And they do some of the same things on the show where the governor, after he finds Tara and Lily and Megan, who's the girl, and their dad, whose name I don't remember, but the one with the oxygen tank, who stole the meat truck. I guess he didn't steal it. He was a meat truck driver with like jerky and stuff.
I do not remember that, but
And that's what they've been eating, and
totally
he just like
believe
parked
you
it
and
in front
trust
of the
you.
building.
Okay.
He it's like once he heard the apocalypse was starting, then he like drove his truck of jerky and whatnot like up to the building, and that's what they've been living off of. So it's kind of similar where I remember in the book, Philip, like the thing where he goes like to the floor above them and is like clearing it of walkers. And in the show he retrieves, I think, was it a backgammon set or something? Or no, a chess set? No, they had a backgammon set, and then he retrieved the chess set. It was something, but like, and so he goes up there, and that kind of like helps earn their trust, and then so then eventually Philip is having a relationship with Tara's sister, and then they like they're on the roof, I think.
No, they're like in like somehow they have like I don't remember exactly how, but they have like tunnels to the mall.
Oh,
and so
okay.
like
No, you're right. They're
in like a bridgeway.
That's right. You're right.
the
You're
mall.
right. There was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They had like these
And-
tunnels to different places.
Yeah, and they're like flirting and blah blah blah, and like he starts going too far, and
they
she
start
tells him to
making
stop.
out. Yeah. And there's a dramatic storm. I remember there's like a
yes, there is a
dramatic
dramatic
storm. And so then they're making out, and then she's like, no, slow down. But he's just too horny, and he just
Yeah.
can't. He's too into it, and so then he rapes her essentially. And this is still the book, and
Right. And then
go
Tara's
ahead.
like, get out of here.
Yeah, then he's like, oops, but he kind of thinks like it'll be okay. You know, he thinks
Yeah,
they can
she'll
like
forgive him.
like work it out. But then like the next morning, like Tara pulls a gun and just
Yeah.
like forces them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they're like on the road again, and is that when they run into the people that currently have Woodbury?
Well, so from what I'm remembering, after that happens, then they go to that house, and they like find. I think it's like in an orchard. There's like a peach orchard or something. They end up in this house, and they hole up in there, and then
Are those the Peach people? Whoa.
the peach people.
That Rick and Carol meet?
Oh, I don't think so. That's funny. You're right. Though they are also peach people. You're right. I guess there's a lot of peach people in Georgia because like
It's Georgia.
It's like it's
yeah,
the
I
peach
guess
state.
so.
That's
Okay.
that's
fair.
But no, you're right. They are also peach people. And so then okay, anyway, so then they're like in this abandoned house, and then from what I remember, they're in there for a while, and then some like vagrant junkie marauders, you know, who are just like scavenging and roaming around. They end up killing Penny. And so then Philip goes batshit crazy. And like at that just completely shatters his mind.
Yes.
And so then he takes them and puts them in a shed on the property, and then pretty much tortures and rapes them nonstop for, I don't know, a couple weeks or something. You know, it's a long time. He's taking his revenge on these junkies. And then one of the other guys who are like Philip's buddies for like his whole life, you know, these are like his boys who went along with them. One of them can't take it anymore because he knows what's going on, and so then he goes out there to kill them and put them out of their misery.
Yes. Okay,
And so then
this is starting to come back to
so
me
then
more.
he does that, and then I don't remember exactly. It was then Philip shoots him,
Yeah.
I believe, and then I think the other guy shoots Philip. And then Brian
Goes crazy.
snaps
Yes.
at that because
And-
he's been like sort of losing his mind for a
Yes,
while,
he
but
has
that totally
That's like the straw
Yeah.
that broke the camel's back. And then like in his mind he
so like he
becomes
kills
Philip.
he kills the friend who killed Philip, and then he just like and I should have mentioned Philip, of course, has like kept Penny as a walker this whole time.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah.
he's had Penny on this
Yeah.
property also.
And then didn't they kill Walker Penny also? And like that's also part of why Brian becomes Philip?
No, Walker Penny is still
Walker Penny?
Yeah,
Okay,
okay. Because then he takes her to Woodbury, and you know,
Okay. So yeah, he essentially is like
yeah. Then he's just like
he thinks he is Philip, and
he
Penny is
becomes-
his daughter,
yeah.
and Brian essentially no longer exists.
except when he has like moments of clarity and like, but he convinces himself that he is Philip, and he like changes his, you know, he adopts his appearance and, you know, his mannerisms and everything. Yeah.
And which we see later on with Michonne with the rape and everything. But,
Right, exactly.
and then he takes over Woodbury. So so that's the first book in this series of 5.
Well, there are, let's see, are there 6 total? But only the first 4
Are written-
are about the governor.
Yeah.
And then the other ones
And
are.
the first 4, just to be completely transparent and honest, are significantly better.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because we listened to them. And we enjoyed the first 4. The
Last 2.
last 2 are awful. are surprisingly terrible compared, like they're just
Yeah, they were hard to
yeah,
listen. They were
and
hard to get through.
the first 4, because the first 4 are credited to Robert Kirkman, who's the writer of the comics and like
And-
wrote a lot of the series,
Right,
and you know,
right. Well, it's like Robert Kirkman and
yeah,
someone
and then this
else,
other guy, and then the last two are just the other guy. And like, and when we were listening to them, I assumed that.
They just put Robert.
I assumed
Kirkman.
it was more of like, like more of just like putting his name
have the
on
name
there, like
on it,
as like
right.
the story as. But in retrospect, I think
He
I think
actually
he
did a lot.
actually was providing all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then this other guy, I think, is very, very, very mediocre and can't come up with an interesting story to save his life. Yeah.
So, okay, so this is kind of like the basis for these two episodes because so the governor is Philip and he's walking around, he's just like lost everything. He snapped and killed everyone.
Oh, yeah,
Like he didn't just lose everything. And so he sees the name Brian written on a building.
Yeah, it's this building that many people have like written messages
They're
on.
like, don't go home.
It's like to just, other like to the people they're with or the people they're looking for.
Right. And yeah, he sees Brian on the side of this building and later he introduces himself as Brian, so we're just supposed to assume that he like just took it from the building. There's nothing explicitly said. But with the background of those books, like Brian is actually him.
Yes.
And okay, so
Which I think it's unfortunate that they didn't give him. It doesn't have to be exactly that backstory or something, but I think they should have given him something more along those lines
I
as
totally
a backstory,
agree.
like
Totally agree.
over the course of like it could have been the previous season, like they just should have, because I think they kind of missed some opportunities to do something more interesting with his character.
I agree. And so like in the books he meets this family that like is living in this apartment complex and it's two sisters, a little girl, and the dad on oxygen. And one of them is Tara.
On the series?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for some reason I was
Oh no,
remembering
yeah.
Tara at a different time, but no, one of them is
Yeah,
Tara. Tara's just a different character. Like she's not this like fat woman in a muumuu.
Oh yes, yeah.
She's like, I'm in the police.
She's
I have more
acting, trying to
ammunition
act
than you
super
could ever
tough,
use
yeah.
in 700 years. And she's acting all tough. And the older sister is the one with the daughter, and that's Megan.
Well, Lily is the sister,
Right.
with the daughter who's Megan.
Okay,
yes.
okay, yeah. And so like Brian, which he goes by now, is like kind of standoffish, but he's happy to have shelter, and he tries to like help when he can, and they give him some food, and he like slowly like gets in good with them, like wins them over a little bit. And the dad on the oxygen, he needs more oxygen, so like Brian tries to go get them some.
Oh, I think maybe in the book it was like he went to a hospital or something.
Okay.
Or no, but I think it was something similar. It was a similar thing where he's going, he needs oxygen.
Yeah, and then like there's just a bunch of walkers, and I can't even remember, did he get oxygen?
I think he did.
Okay.
Yeah, because then it's like, because the dad lives for a while
He does.
until he just
And
dies
so I think that kind of
something.
helps win them over, is that he risked his life for this oxygen.
Yeah.
So eventually he does die, the dad on the oxygen. And like Tara's like, we're so sorry, we're so sad without you.
Yeah, and she's hugging him. Yeah.
When he turns, and Brian just like grabs the oxygen tank and starts like smashing his head in, and they're all screaming, and Megan, the little girl, is freaking out. And then he's like,
there was probably a less gruesome way to like he probably
like just go grab a knife from
he
the
knew
kitchen
that
or
was going to
something.
happen.
Right. Yeah,
so
he's,
like he should have
bracing
just
himself.
he should have just been prepared with something like
yeah, he should have.
He should have just been prepared to do that in a like to keep them safe and just to do it like in a way that wouldn't freak them out. Yeah.
And so he buries the dad, and Lily is like, what was that? And he explains, and she's like, you can stay. And they just kind of like build into their own little family. And so like Lily and Brian are together, and Tara's the odd fifth wheel, because then they have Megan, that is Lily's daughter, not his, but it's making him think of Penny, and he's starting to feel a sense of happiness again, like having a family, having a daughter. And is that the end of that first episode?
Oh, no, there's a little bit more. So
Okay.
then let's see, I believe they're saying they're gonna eventually run out of food. They have to go find somewhere else to be.
Okay.
They can't stay in the apartment forever. So then they take off, and then...
Oh, like Lily falls into a hole with a walker.
Right. Yeah, because then they're driving, and then... and Tara is, like, confessing that she's not actually a tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know. I think that's a good, like, thought that was interesting, because that makes her a lot more likable.
Yes.
Is that she's acting like this super cliche tough girl kind of thing, and then it's like she's actually
Right.
a pretty
Yeah.
good character. I think
Yeah.
I think she ends up becoming a pretty good character.
And they're
But yeah,
on the road,
and then they
like,
stop for some reason.
They get like some more
Yeah,
people
something,
in their
you know.
group. Yeah.
Oh, no, not yet.
Oh, not yet? Not
Oh,
yet?
because they're driving, and then I don't recall why they stop, but for some reason they stop, and then they, I think maybe they just ran out of gas.
Okay.
But so then they're on foot, and then they end up, there's a bunch of walkers, and then they're fleeing, and then that's when they fall in these holes.
Right.
They fall in these, like, pits that have been dug.
Right.
And then some walkers fall in there with them, and then
Brian's
the governor
trying to-
is taking them out.
Yeah, fight them off and keep Megan safe. And like Megan is scared, but at this point she's like learned to trust Brian also. And he gets all the walkers killed, and then like someone walks to the edge of the pit and like looks over, and it's Martinez. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like so shocked to see the governor alive.
Yeah.
Is that where the episode ends?
Yes, that is the end
Okay,
of-
that's the end of the episode.
So, and I could be misremembering. I don't know. I think in the book, the woman who he has sex with might have been Megan, but I'm not sure about that. I'll need to check that, but I kind of feel like her name was Megan.
That might be. That sounds.
And I think maybe they just like
sounds
switched
familiar. Yeah.
all these names around pretty much, and but yeah, that's the end of Live Bait.
Yeah.
And so then the next one is Dead Weight. Oh, actually, there was something at the end of that one. There was the governor kills a walker, and he just sort of like, what was it he did? He like reached, he like pushed his hand up into its spine.
Oh,
And like,
yes.
you know, he did it in
like,
a way that
rips it out.
really doesn't make a lot of
Yeah.
sense, considering like how walkers are supposed to function.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, yes, they're dead and they're decomposing, but it wouldn't be that easy still.
Right. But anyway, yeah. And then the next one is Dead Weight, and so then let's see, that one, it opens with sort of a flash forward, I think. No, because they did get out of the pits at the end of. I think they got them out of the pits, because then this one opens where like the governor is talking with Megan. While they're playing chess, and he's
Okay.
putting up the laundry.
Okay.
And they're like
yes.
talking about chess and the pieces, and it's a metaphor for his life. You know, and he mentioned something about, let's see. Oh, I think, or I don't know. She's like, Megan is saying like, "Will you let me win?" or something along those lines, and he's like, "Well, that wouldn't be any fun.
Right. Like,
you
it's
don't want
not
to let
winning
me, you know."
if I let you.
Oh, so he's saying it's not winning if you don't earn it. And I think Megan says something like, did your dad beat you? And he's like, oh, yeah. Or he's like, oh, yeah, he beat me. Darn, he beat me at everything. Like something along those lines, which, I mean, is interesting, but like
It also gives.
it's like we don't really know
still
what
continues to
that
give no
means.
backstory.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, like
okay, there's like a teeny tiny sliver of information that leads to nothing.
Right. I kind of wish there was something more established for his
Yeah.
character, because when all is said and done, we don't really have any clear idea of who he was before the apocalypse. But and then after that conversation, then it zooms out to reveal the tank. You know, there's like they have the clotheslines on the tank, I think, going to their RV, and then so then that's sort of a flash forward, and then the episode is showing how they got there. And let's see.
So it's Martinez, and I can't remember what his name is on this show.
Miguel Alvarez.
Yes.
You mean
yeah.
on? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't remember what his name is on this show, but
I don't remember. Yeah,
our favorite show.
Yes, Oz.
His name is Miguel Alvarez.
Yeah, he's one of the leads of the show Oz
Such
on
a good
HBO.
show.
Yeah,
You
it's a
should go
very
watch
good
it.
show. Yeah, we highly recommend it.
Yeah, we
It's
named
excellent.
our son after it.
That's true. Excellent show. So it's Martinez, and then
We'll just
Miguel
call him
Alvarez. I can't recall his name on The Walking Dead.
because he's like a very
He's a different character. Yeah. Ultimately, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But so he's that guy is the one with the tank. He was in the army, and then when everything fell apart, he just like took his tank and drove it off. And so then he's the one with the tank, and they have this group of survivors, and
Tara starts flirting, and we learn that she's a lesbian.
I think she might have said something in the previous one, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But you're right. Yeah, she of course finds someone to start flirting with like right away at the camp, and then and let's see, and then they're going out and looking for supplies, and they're going around in the woods, and they find a house where like this family had been killed by some marauders, and then they're talking, and then let's see.
What exactly happens where like Brian kind of freaks out and he's like, we have to leave. Like, we have to pack up our stuff now. We have to leave. And Lily's like, we can't leave. Like, this is our home now. These are our people. Why do we have to go? And he's like, just pack up. We have to leave now.
You're right. So from what I remember is that he's saying that because he thinks, it's because when they were in the woods, at one point they see this like little camp of people behind barbed wire in the woods, and I believe Miguel Alvarez says that they should, they're hidden in the woods, and he says we should just take their shit. Then actually there's that third guy, whose name I don't remember. It's Martinez, and then Miguel, and then there's that third guy.
Okay.
Who I think might be Miguel's brother.
Okay.
But I don't remember for sure. But they're the ones in charge. And so then the third guy is the one who says, no, we can't do that to innocent people. We're not, we're just we're gonna keep looking and scavenging. And so then they go and look, and then when they come back around, someone else has taken out that little camp and stolen their stuff.
You're right.
And then Miguel is like, look, see, we should have just done it. And so like what the governor was saying is because he thinks there's going to be a power struggle. Like he thinks they're not going to get along forever. And so that's why he says they have to run away.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, doesn't make like perfect sense. It's kind of a stretch in the episode why he's so certain of that and whether that actually makes sense given their situation. And yeah. And so then they get into their vehicle and then they drive away. But then on the road out, it's flooded. It's been flooded, and it's all muddy, and like the road is like full of walkers who are in the mud, and so they can't get out. And then after that, so then they go back, and then
The next part I remember is the golfing thing. Like, and I know I'm
Right,
forgetting
right.
but I think maybe he decides that he needs to be in charge again.
Well,
But he doesn't
yeah.
want to be. He's like he's feeling very conflicted about this. Like,
It's there. A lot of it is left somewhat ambiguous in terms of what's going on in his mind. But they like have a. They all eat, and they get kind of drunk, like Martinez in particular, and then he and the governor are on the roof of the RV.
yes.
Like a different one. They're like off.
Not the one that
right.
Brian and the girls live in.
They're off by those pits that they dug to
Yes.
catch walkers.
Yeah.
Before they like wandered into camp. And so
they're like golfing off
Yeah.
the top of it.
and Martinez is getting more drunk, and he's saying, yeah, maybe we should have a power sharing arrangement. Like maybe you should take some of the responsibilities off my hands. And then the governor essentially snaps and murders him. And he's saying, like, as he kills him, he's like, I don't want it.
Right.
And he's
While he's killing him.
yeah, as
him
he's
power.
feeding him to the
Yeah.
walkers, yeah. So the implication is that the governor was trying not to like fall back into his old ways
Yes.
and trying not to be tempted by power, but then that just pushed him over the edge, and he couldn't. So he just said essentially, I'll just murder him and then take power and then just
Right.
become my old self. So he kills Martinez, and then
Doesn't like Miguel Alvarez like question like
because then he goes to see Miguel. He like goes into his RV, and Miguel is afraid he's going to murder him. I think because he has a gun on him. And he's basically telling him,
there was an accident. He fell,
right,
the
like,
walkers got him.
and so like this is the way it's going to be from now on. Like we're going to do whatever we have to do to take care of our people. And he tells Miguel like this other guy is not gonna be able to do it. It's not gonna work with him, and And then he kills that guy. Do you remember how that happened?
I don't.
Because I remember he like tied something heavy to his feet and dumped him in that pond. So then he can go and look at him, like the walker heads in the fish tanks. Like he's doing that, like he's got like that third guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think we actually see him kill him. I don't think we actually see the governor kill that guy.
Okay.
But at some point he does. And so
Okay.
then he's like,
It's just still him and Miguel essentially.
yeah. So he has power by the end of it all. He's taken over this camp. And like he tells everyone about the prison. He says like this place isn't safe. Look at what happened to Miguel and the other guy.
Right.
Like walkers are, like sooner or later this camp is not going to be.
We need to go.
It's
to
not
this
going to be
prison.
safe forever. So and he's like, I know this prison. It's incredibly safe. It's run by these evil people
Yes.
who killed my daughter, and and he's like representing
His
them
version
that way.
of it.
Exactly. He's telling his version of all those events, and he's saying like we need to go take the prison to be safe in the long term. We have to go take it from them. And I believe that's
Doesn't it end with like
Oh,
him
it,
in the woods, like watching
well,
Michonne?
that's where, let's see. So because that was the episode before.
Okay.
these episodes. That was
so
like,
it like brings us back.
yeah,
into
and
real
so then
time.
let's see, and then I believe at the end of this one, does he grab? I'm not remembering whether he grabs Michonne and Herschel at the end of that episode, or if it's the beginning of the next one.
Oh, I don't remember.
But that's like essentially the next thing
Yeah.
that happens. But yeah, so it's, you know, so it's like that's essentially the end of that episode. And I think these are very good episodes.
They're different. It's like
I like that it's I like that it's different characters. I like that it's different things are happening. I like that it's told entirely from the perspective of different characters, and like none of the main cast is,
right. Well, it's also not trying to like sell a spinoff.
Yes.
Like,
It's not like it's not a different group of characters, like long-term characters, or like the heroes, or you know what I mean. It's I like that, and I think they should have. I kind of wish they had not done the flu arc and like just done
But the
this
flu is like
instead.
just to kill everyone that's from
Woodbury
that they
It's just that wasn't strictly necessary,
No, you're
because
right.
they could have just had them like be there when the governor attacks, and then
he
they all
kills
just
them
get
all.
massacred. You know,
Right.
like it would have been very easy. Like really, just have extras in the background, and like you basically don't even need to address what happens to the people. You know, and it's like they wasted so much time on that stupid flu story, and I just think it's like one of the more boring parts of the series, because it's just
foreshadowing COVID.
It is, yeah, it is. We watched, that was the part of the show we were on, right at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns.
Yes.
It was that, which I thought was funny. It was that part of the series.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think in retrospect, it would have been better if this first like third of the season,
They did more.
or no, I guess it's the first half. I guess it's roughly the first half, and then like the prison falls pretty much halfway through the season. But
Yes.
but yeah, I kind of wish the first half of
Terminus.
huh?
Terminus.
Oh, Terminus. Yeah, that's your least favorite.
It's my least favorite.
It does go on way too long, and it is pretty boring. I agree. But I kind of wish they had just done this governor side story. Maybe not for the whole time, but do like maybe 4 episodes or something. You know, I think it's interesting, and I like, and then they
give some more
they could have
background
done
on
his
him.
backstory.
Yes.
They could have like. Because I mean, okay, sure, like there's not like enough time to do that in 2 episodes,
Right.
But they could have if they just had a couple more episodes,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have needed a lot of money. Like they could have done it on a relatively low budget, and I think that would have been more interesting. I think the actor who plays the governor does a good job, but I don't think they actually did a great job of writing
For
the
him.
character on the series. Like I think he ends up feeling kind of thin, because like we don't really have any backstory. We don't like really know why he's crazy. Like other than Penny died.
Right.
Like, you know, but we just don't really have a lot of context for why he is the way he is, and I think it would have been more interesting if they had provided that and like given the actor more to work with. I think he could have been a better character than he ended up becoming.
But I am glad that they did these 2
Oh
episodes.
yeah, no, because I do, I really like these episodes. I think they're done very well. Yeah, and I think they do a good job of like then setting up what happens next.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's episode...
See, so that was 5. No, that was 6 and 7.
Yes.
Okay, 6 and 7.